What is poppin', everybody? Welcome to episode 9 of the podcast. So today's episode is going to be about how we personally find our inspirations and how you can potentially find your inspiration. So without further ado, we're going to dive... Wait, I got to make some announcements. So merch drop October 1st. Don't want to miss out on that. Basically, that's all I really have to announce, but make sure you're following all the socials before we get started. So I will let this nice guy over here, Jake, explain how he gets inspired, and
Yeah, so my inspiration basically comes from just being interested in things. I don't know, I feel like, as bad as this is to say, I'm not that naturally, driven as a person. When I read a book, what gets me through it is being interested in the book.
Yeah.
I don't get through the book because, I got to get through this book, because I'm trying to read all these other books. It's I finish it because I'm interested in it, you know?
Yeah.
It's the interest of things that, carries me through a lot of my tasks. And I gotta be honest, too. Sometimes it's real hard for me to stick to a schedule. Because a lot of times, what I want to do will fluctuate, each and every day, each and every hour. Shit, sometimes I don't.
Honest to God, man.
Sometimes I'll, set aside a certain amount of time for something, and then it will get to that time, and I'll be like, this is the last thing I want to do right now. And then I'll end up doing something else that wasn't on the schedule, but I'll end up doing it because that's what I feel like doing at that point in time.
Just get sidetracked.
Yeah.
It's tough. You just go with the flow sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what put things off.
It's tough. It's
good to come back to it, you know?
Yeah, it's cool to go with the flow to a certain extent.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, us three have pretty easygoing lives as right now, other than our dedication to this stuff.
Right.
So we have the ability to be able to go with the flow. So
Exactly.
That is why some people find it so hard to find what inspires them, because they don't have any responsibilities. They don't really have anything to put time into. Ever since we started doing this podcast, it feels like I've found a purpose in life where I can actually devote all of my energy into and just go hard at. So I feel like if people can find something that truly interests in them, that they can end up, if they keep doing it and they keep doing it, it only goes up. You know, that's how TikTok was for me.
Right.
I saw it as something, if I put in time, it's only going to go well. So if people like artists, if you do everything in your power to become a great artist, it's going to happen.
Right.
So it's just all about finding something that interests you, like sports. Another good example, if you grind every day, you'll make it. You just have to grind.
Right. It's the consistency factor.
Exactly.
You need to be consistent. If you aren't, then you'll lose whatever that interest is. If you pick up a sport, that was our early childhoods. We tried out all these new sports,
all of them,
and we never stuck with some of these. And that's obviously why we are not still playing.
Yeah, but imagine if we would have.
Right.
Imagine if we know what we know now back then. It almost irks me sometimes when I see high school football games, and I'm just that so could have been me and all the boys. It could have been all of us, but we just were caught up in having fun, which is totally cool because we had an insane amount of fun doing that.
Right,
But
hell yeah,
just understanding your potential before it's too late is so crucial.
Yeah. And hindsight's always 20/22, so
exactly.
anyone can look back at the past and
be like,
shit. Okay, so I should have done this exactly at this time. That's easy to do.
Yeah.
To kind of elaborate off what you were saying earlier, I don't know if you guys could agree with this, and I'd be interested to hear what you guys think after I say it, but, before we started this podcast, I wasn't in a position where I was, itching to,
succeed.
Get my... Well, I always like to succeed,
exactly.
But I wasn't in a position where I was itching to say something and get it out there. I wasn't in a position where I had something that I really wanted to say to the world. I wasn't in a situation where I really had a chip on my shoulder to get my own word out there.
Yeah, I understand.
But I started the podcast because I like you guys, and that is partly what drives my inspiration is just
being interested.
I think you guys are cool, yeah, and reading reading the emails, when I go through your phone and I look at your text messages, seeing that from other people, I think is what inspires me the most.
Dude, it's great.
The reason I'm still doing this is because I fuck with you guys, and it turns out that it actually helps people.
And you actually like are seeing firsthand that it helps
Right.
people.
You're seeing so
Right.
much positivity
Right.
being put into all these people's
Exactly.
lives.
Like,
It's so
right.
great. It just feeds our energy, and we keep doing it. Like it's just the positive
like
reinforcement.
yeah, like it's like the circle of like or cycle of just like positivity because they're giving us positivity by interacting with us,
Right.
and then by them interacting with us, it makes us want to interact with them more. So it's
Exactly.
like this just circle of like positivity. Exactly. So
Right.
Within the inspiration, you can find the positivity. So as you progress through whatever it is, if you're trying to be inspired, try to stay positive, and you'll just keep on growing with that. You know, like what I'm looking forward to. Well, like what I draw inspiration from is looking forward to the future, like my future in life. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just looking at like, what am I gonna do with my future? What is retirement going to look like? How can I do? What can I do to get there? You know, like what steps can I take? You know,
yeah, honestly, I use that fear as inspiration, where I'm just like, I never want to feel this feeling, like overwhelming my body. So if I capitalize on this emotion, only positive will come out of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
dude. Another key thing is to like remind yourself about what you're doing in life. Like I have a
why.
like why? Find your purpose. I have a little thing above my light switch. It says, "What can you do to be more successful every day?" You know, that I see that and I'm just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
What can
And
I
then
do?
that's on your conscious brain.
Right.
Like you're constantly looking for new ways to improve. And like I feel like people need to understand.
Right.
We should definitely do an episode about conscious and subconscious.
Oh
For
my
sure.
god.
I
yes.
don't know how we haven't thought of that
For
because
sure.
like the power between the two is fucking nuts. So like when you are constantly looking for improvements and you're like exactly what you said, you say, what can I do to make myself more successful today? That wires your brain to consciously look for more things that are improving of you.
Exactly.
So
Right.
You could draw so much inspiration from that, man.
so much. So like your subconscious has a huge play in your inspiration. The way it's wired. So like if you had the first like 10 years of your life, if your parents never like instilled this into you, you probably will have a hard time becoming inspired, which is a crazy thing to like understand because like when I was driving today and I saw this this mom with her two kids and she was just screaming at these kids like for doing shit that kids did, and I'm like, I feel bad. These kids' subconscious programming is going to be so whack because their growing up was just like not ideal.
Right.
So to be able to completely rewire your subconscious brain, it's going to take like weeks of rewiring, like meditation, like you diving into it. So like affirmations are huge when it comes to like inspirations. Every day I am getting closer to finding my purpose. Every day I am learning something new, stuff like that, because then that just wires your subconscious brain to be looking for it, and then it makes it a lot easier for those things to fall into your life.
Yeah, I think kind of to elaborate on that, well, most of your personality is formed really before you're even like age 5. Like ages 2 to 4 is probably the most critical years of like your development. And I think once you get to that point, like your personality and kind of where you're just like predisposed, that influences a lot of where you're going to draw your inspiration from. For example, Ty, you just mentioned having the note above your light switch, and I think you are a great example of like you're a great positive example of how to really like, I mean, you know what you want to do, and it's clearly defined in your head and on paper too. I'd be willing to bet, and you're great at sticking to that. Like you have that paper above your light switch because that reminds you of what you need to do. It keeps you on track. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, I'm not. It's a little bit harder for me to stick to the things that I know that I want to do, but I find like I get to it in a different way, just with the interests of like I'm interested in things, and that's what carries me through. And then I think Alex, with you, I think you're a great positive example of like taking like you always talk about the fear of being average. It's like a lot of people when they have like fear and anxiety, it stands in front of them and it's a roadblock between them and their goals. And we touched on this on a couple earlier podcasts, but what you do, and I think it's a great example of this, is you put that fear behind you. So instead of fear preventing you from progressing, you're not so much trying to race to the top. You're just trying to get as far away as you can from the bottom.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
What a great way to put it.
And it's a different kind of motivation. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. That's
There's
a great
so
way
many
to put
different
it.
kinds of motivations out there. Just find what works for you.
Right.
Like when you made a great point earlier when you said, like, what inspires you. Like you were talking about how certain things can like more barriers to go through, right?
Yeah.
So like if you're reading a book and that book is like downstairs and you're doing something else, but you know you have to read, you're already preoccupied, and it's like just you have to go through a few barriers to get that. So like you need to put your goals or your inspiration like in front of you more often. You know what I mean? Prioritize and make sure it's readily available to where you can be reaching that.
Like if you are having a hard time being disciplined with your goals, look at your screen time. How much time are you spending on Snapchat?
too much, probably.
Exactly.
Just social media in general, bro. Like,
in general.
Like if you're off your phone, you're a lot more productive. Like 100%.
Like
proven. Bro.
I've been pushing people out there to like get off social media for a week.
Delete Snap.
A fucking week.
Yeah.
A fucking week.
Talk
Just
to so many people
dopamine
that delete
detox.
Snap.
go
dude,
outside.
right.
Go outside and learn about yourself. Read. You don't even have to read. Just go outside, bro. Because when you're outside, it almost like forms new pathways in your brain
Bro.
and new ways of learning.
Reflect about how you're reflecting.
Damn.
Just
Damn.
be aware of your thought process, you know? And consciously
Dude.
think about how you're thinking.
I was thinking this thing the other day, and it was just like so many people beat themselves up for thinking about something a certain way. Like thinking about they can't get over a person. Instead of beating yourself up over that, ask yourself why you were thinking that about that constantly. Like don't say why am I. It's hard to put it. Just don't beat yourself up for thinking things. Try to understand why you're thinking them and see what you can do to change to make you feel better about that.
Or find
certain-
what is triggering that thought.
Yes,
instead
great.
of why, ask what. Like what stimulus is triggering that negative response?
And how
within
can
you?
I avoid it?
How can I? Yep, exactly.
Negative emotion is a call to change. So with that, I think that was a wonderful podcast. I hope you all agree. So if you stayed to the end, I appreciate you. Hopefully that was enough to get you to subscribe if you aren't already. But merch drop October 1st if you didn't hear it at the beginning. Follow the socials. We'll be pumping so much content out the next few months because we're not fucking around pretty much. So I hope you're ready to...
Yeah, we ain't fucking around.
This is some serious business.
We are not fucking
Very
around.
serious.
Some serious business.
All right. We hope to see you next time. And as always,
Stay
stay woke.